Store shelves empty by spring 2025. Did you know tariffs could make your favorite groceries vanish overnight? Stick with me to uncover the top 10 items you need to stock now before shortages hit. Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel where we keep you ahead of the chaos. 2025 is coming fast and it's bringing grocery shortages that'll shock you. Think $20 eggs and missing avocados. I've dug deep into Reddit X and the latest reports to find out what's really going on. Did you know Russia's war in Ukraine is quietly spiking fertilizer costs, making your canned veggies pricier? Or that California's water crisis could wipe out 30% of tomato crops? Today we're counting down the top 10 grocery items you need to grab before they're gone, plus sneaky tips to save money and stay prepared. Let's dive in and beat the 2025 food shortage panic together. Item 1, eggs. Hey, friend. Brace yourself. Your breakfast eggs are turning into gold nuggets. I'm diving into the egg shortage crisis hitting us in 2025, and trust me, it's wild. Let's break it down with the latest stats and some tips to keep your fridge stocked without selling your car. So, what's the deal? The H5N1 bird flu is wreaking havoc. According to the USDA, over 138 million birds, including 73 million egg-laying hens, have been wiped out since 2022. That's a huge chunk of our egg supply. In January 2025 alone, 8.4 million more birds were affected. Result, egg prices are skyrocketing. The Bureau of Labor Statistics says a dozen eggs hit $4.15 in December 2024, up 60% from $2.51 a year earlier. And get this, some Midwest stores are charging $6.45 a dozen, $6 for eggs. I'd rather barter my Netflix subscription. Why is this happening? Bird flu spreads fast, especially in crowded industrial farms, forcing farmers to cull entire flocks. The USDA is trying $1 billion for biosecurity and egg imports from Turkey and South Korea, but it's not enough. Prices could climb another 20% this year per USDA predictions. Ouch. So what can you do? Stock up on powdered or freeze-dried eggs. They last years, don't need a fridge, and are perfect for baking or scrambling. Grab them now before they vanish too. Because paying $10 for eggs, that's a hard no. Got thoughts on this egg apocalypse? Drop them in the comments. Like, subscribe, and hit that bell to stay ahead of the shortage chaos. Let's keep our breakfasts affordable, friends. Item 2. Ariel, yo friend, your cereal bowl's about to betray you. I'm spilling the tea on why cereal's going MIA in 2025, and it's a breakfast crisis you need to prep for. Let's dive into the latest stats and some tricks to keep your mornings tasty without resorting to boring toast. Here's the deal. Processed foods like cereal are vanishing fast. The Consumer Brands Association reports a 15% out-of-stock rate for processed foods in 2024, and it's not getting better. Supply chains are still a mess. Port delays, truck driver shortages, you name it. Big brands like Kellogg's are struggling with ingredient shortages and labor woes, leaving shelves empty. Then, boom, tariffs. A 25% tax on Canadian grains, which supply 90% of U.S. cereal oats, is jacking up costs, per the Consumer Brands Association. The USDA says cereal prices spiked 3% from June 2024 to June 2025. Ex-users are freaking out over $10 boxes of cornflakes. $10 for cereal? I'd rather munch on my shoe. Why is this happening? U.S. oat farms are shrinking, down 80% since the 1940s, and Russia's war is hiking fertilizer prices, making grains pricier. So, what's the play? Stock up on bulk oats or rice cereal now. They're cheap, store for ages in airtight bins, and dodge those grocery price spikes. Because a boring breakfast? That's a hard pass, fam. What cereal are you hoarding to beat the cereal shortage? Drop it in the comments. Hit that like button, subscribe, and smack the bell to stay ready for the 2025 processed food stockpile chaos. Let's keep our mornings crunchy and fun. Item 3. Coffee. Your morning coffee is about to become a luxury. I'm diving into the coffee shortage crisis hitting 2025, and it's a wake-up call you can't ignore. Let's break down the latest stats and some hacks to keep your caffeine game strong without facing withdrawal meltdowns. No coffee. I'd rather wrestle a bear. Here's the deal. Climate change is roasting coffee crops. Reuters reports that droughts in Brazil, which supplies 40% of global coffee, and Vietnam, the top Robusta producer, are slashing yields. Brazil's 2024-2025 harvest could drop 10% per the International Coffee Organization thanks to scorching heat and erratic rains. Posts on X are freaking out about $20 bags of beans. The USDA says coffee prices jumped 14.5% year over year in July 2025, with some blends hitting $8.40 per pound, $8 a pound. My wallet's crying harder than I would without my morning brew. What's fueling this mess? Climate change is making coffee growing regions too hot or too dry, stressing Arabica and Robusta beans. Reuters notes that Guatemala's dry corridor farmers are losing crops to drought, pushing some to migrate. Add in Red Sea shipping disruptions, rerouted ships burn 38% more carbon, hiking freight costs, and you've got a perfect storm. No wonder my espresso feels like a rare gem. So, what's the move? Stock up on bulk coffee now. Think big cans of ground coffee or instant packets. They last for years and won't break the bank when prices soar. Check wholesale clubs or online deals for 5-pound bags. Pro tip, store them in airtight containers in a cool, dry spot. Because caffeine withdrawal? That's me yelling at my toaster for no reason. Got a coffee stash you're hoarding? Spill the beans in the comments. Smash that like button, subscribe, and hit the bell to stay ready for the 2025 coffee shortage chaos. Let's keep our mornings buzzing, fam. Item 4, sugar. Alright, let's talk about something sweet, literally, sugar. You probably don't think twice about grabbing that bag from the shelf, but what if I told you that by 2025, sugar could be hard to find? And crazy expensive. Yeah, we're not talking just a little price bump. We're talking doubling or even tripling in some cases. Here's the real tea. According to The Atlantic, major sugar-producing countries like India and Thailand have already started slapping export bans on sugar because of severe droughts linked to climate change. India alone cut its sugar exports by over 50% this year to protect its domestic supply. And with global production down, prices have already jumped nearly 40% in the past 12 months, before the 2025 crunch even hits full force. Now, why should you care? Because sugar isn't just for cookies and coffee, it's in everything: bread, sauces, pickles, even frozen meals. If supply keeps shrinking, store shelves could start looking pretty bare. And let's be real, have you seen the price of a bakery cupcake lately? Might as well be buying gold. So here's the move. Consider stocking up on a 10-pound bag of granulated sugar while it's still relatively affordable. Store it in an airtight container and it'll last for years. No need to go full doomsday prepper, but having a backup is smart. And hey, if you're into alternatives, honey, maple syrup or even coconut sugar are great options. Plus, they've got a longer shelf life and come with a little extra nutrition. Just be ready to get creative when your sweet tooth strikes. Bottom line, sugar might seem like a small thing, but when it's gone, you'll notice. And trust me, you don't want to be the person trying to bake a birthday cake in a sugar shortage. Drama included. So don't wait until it's $20 a bag. Add an extra one to your cart next grocery run. Your future self and your dessert game will thank you. Item 5, olive oil. All right, let's talk about liquid gold, olive oil. You drizzle it on roasted veggies, toss your salads with it, maybe even dip bread in it like a fancy Tuscan. But what if I told you that by 2025, that bottle might cost more than a cheap bottle of wine? Yeah, we're in real trouble. According to The Atlantic, extreme droughts across the Mediterranean, especially in Spain, Italy, and Greece, are absolutely wrecking olive harvests. Spain alone produces nearly half the world's olive oil, and in 2023, their output plummeted by over 50% due to record heat and lack of rain. In some regions, farmers didn't harvest at all, and now global supply is so tight that prices have more than doubled in the past year. You're not imagining it. Your $12 bottle of extra virgin is now $25, and it's only getting worse. This isn't just a gourmet problem. Olive oil has become a pantry staple for heart-healthy cooking, and with inflation already squeezing grocery budgets, this spike is hitting hard. The USDA and market analysts are warning that unless rains return dramatically, shortages could get severe by 2025. So what do you do? First, consider stocking up on a high-quality, large bottle now. Store it in a cool, dark place, and it'll last over a year. But don't put all your eggs or salads in one oil, but have a backup ready. Canola oil is a solid, neutral alternative for cooking, and avocado oil works well for high-heat frying. For dressings, a mix of apple cider vinegar and a little honey can save your salad from sadness, even if it's not quite the same. And let's be honest, going through an olive oil shortage is basically a crime against food. Dry salads? Sad. Bland roasted potatoes? Unforgivable. We didn't come this far in culinary evolution to eat flavorless mush. So don't wait until olive oil is rarer than concert tickets. Add an extra bottle to your cart next time. Or 2, your taste buds and your pasta drizzle will thank you when everyone else is scrambling. This is one grocery price hike you can actually get ahead of. Be the hero your kitchen deserves. Item 6. Avocados. Okay, let's talk about everyone's favorite green, creamy obsession, avocados. Guacamole on tacos, smashed on toast, or just eaten straight out of the skin with a spoon. No judgment. But get ready, your $2.99 avocado might soon be a luxury item. Yep, avocado prices are skyrocketing and shortages are looming by 2025, thanks to a perfect storm of tariffs, climate stress, and supply chain chaos. According to Fortune, the U.S. imports over 80% of its avocados from Mexico, where political tensions and new trade regulations are making shipments slower and more expensive. On top of that, extreme weather, like unseasonal heat and drought, is damaging crops and reducing yields. In 2023, some Mexican farms saw production drop by nearly 30%, and with water becoming scarcer, it's only going to get harder to keep up with demand. And the price? Brace yourself. The average retail price for a single avocado has already jumped to over $1.50 in many areas, up from around $0.75 some just a few years ago. Experts at the USDA warn this could double again if trade restrictions tighten or droughts worsen. So what can you do? If you're a true avocado addict, consider freezing them. Yes, really. Mash them with a little lemon juice to prevent browning, store in an airtight container, and you've got emergency guac ready to go. Or buy them in bulk when they're on sale and ripen them slowly at home. And let's be real, life without avocado toast feels like a dystopian nightmare. But if we don't plan ahead, that's exactly where we're headed. So next time you see a bin of firm green avocados, grab an extra. Your future breakfast and your Instagram feed will thank you. Item 7. Beef. All right, let's talk about the king of the grill, beef. That juicy steak, the burger sizzling on the 4th of July, the slow-cooked pot roast that makes your whole house smell like Sunday dinner. But here's a hard truth. Your favorite cuts might not be so easy to find or afford by 2025. And it's not just your wallet screaming. We're facing a real beef crisis, and it's backed by data. According to the USDA, cattle herds are at their lowest levels in decades thanks to a brutal combo of drought, rising feed costs, and extreme weather messing with corn and soybean production, key ingredients in cattle feed. In 2023 alone, the cost of feeding livestock jumped over 25%, forcing ranchers to downsize herds just to survive. Now, fewer cows plus higher demand equals prices going vertical. The average price of ground beef has already surged past $6 per pound in many states, up from around $4 just 2 years ago. And premium cuts like ribeye or tenderloin, some are now flirting with $20 a pound. At that point, you're not buying dinner, you're funding a small vacation. Climate change is also playing a major role. Prolonged droughts in major cattle states like Texas and Nebraska are drying up pastures and making it harder to raise beef sustainably. The Environmental Working Group reports that 2023 was one of the hottest, driest years on record for the Great Plains, exactly where a huge chunk of America's beef comes from. So what's the move? If you love beef, now's the time to start strategically stocking up. When you see a good sale, buy extra and portion it into freezer-safe bags. Ground beef, stew meat, and roasts freeze beautifully for 6 to 12 months. You'll thank yourself when the grocery store is out of stock or charging steakhouse prices for a frozen pack. And hey, maybe start experimenting with cheaper, shelf-stable proteins like canned beans, lentils, or even canned chicken. Or go hybrid, mix half ground beef with half lentils in your tacos or spaghetti sauce. Your taste buds won't mind, and your budget will breathe easier. Look, we're not saying give up beef, but the era of cheap, endless burgers might be coming to an end. So if you're serious about keeping steak night alive, start planning now, before it's too late and too expensive. Item 8, shrimp. All right, let's dive into something a little more luxurious. Shrimp. Whether it's garlic butter, shrimp scampi, a fancy cocktail at a party, or that frozen bag you toss in the air fryer on a I don't want to cook night, shrimp is one of those go-to proteins that feels special without always breaking the bank. But that might not last. By 2025, shrimp could be disappearing from supermarket freezers, and when you do find it, the price might make you gasp. According to reports from Reuters and discussions surging on Reddit's food and economics threads, the U.S. is facing a growing seafood shortage, especially for shrimp, thanks to a mix of tariffs, supply chain bottlenecks, and climate-related disruptions. Here's the shocking part. The U.S. imports over 90% of its shrimp, mostly from countries like India, Vietnam, and Ecuador. And right now, new trade restrictions and increased tariffs on imported seafood are driving costs way up. In 2023, the price of imported shrimp jumped nearly 35% due to port delays, fuel costs, and anti-dumping regulations. And with inflation still gripping grocery bills, a pound of frozen shrimp now averages $12 or $16, up from just $7 a few years ago. On top of that, warming ocean temperatures and pollution are affecting shrimp farming and wild catches alike. Scientists at NOAA warn that rising sea temperatures are disrupting breeding cycles and increasing disease in shrimp farms, further reducing global supply. So, what's the play? If you love shrimp, consider stocking up when you see a sale, especially large bags of uncooked frozen shrimp. They'll keep in your freezer for up to a year if sealed properly. Or look into canned shrimp. It's underrated, shelf-stable, and perfect for salads, pasta, or shrimp rolls in a pinch. And let's be real, paying 20 cents for a tiny tray of shrimp cocktail at a party in 2025, that's not a snack, that's a flex. So don't wait until shrimp becomes a rare delicacy. Grab a few extra bags next time you're at the store. Your future self will be thanking you. Fork in hand, butter dripping, living the dream. Item 9, chocolate. Okay, let's talk about something that really matters. Chocolate, not just a treat, not just a mood booster. For many of us, it's a survival tool. But brace yourself. By 2025, your favorite chocolate bar might be missing from the shelf or cost more than a movie ticket. Yes, we're in the middle of a full-blown chocolate crisis, and it's not a joke. According to Fortune, global cocoa prices have more than doubled in the past year alone, hitting a 47-year high in early 2024. Right now, a ton of cocoa is going for over $10,000, up from around $3,000 just 2 years ago. And who's to blame? A brutal mix of climate change, crop disease, and collapsing supply from West Africa, where over 70% of the world's cocoa is grown. Countries like Ivory Coast and Ghana, which supply most of the U.S.'s cocoa, are dealing with severe droughts, unpredictable rains, and a devastating fungal disease called cocoa swollen shoot virus that's wiping out entire farms. The result? The world is facing a cocoa deficit of over 500,000 tons, and that gap is only expected to grow. Major chocolate companies like Hershey's, Mars, and Nestle have already started raising prices, some by as much as 30%, and industry experts warn that shortages could hit grocery stores by late 2024 or early 2025. We're talking smaller bars, reformulated, aka less chocolate, more filler products, or even temporary sellouts. So what's your move? If you're a true chocolate lover, now's the time to strategically stock up. Buy dark chocolate, baking cocoa, chocolate chips, or even instant hot cocoa mix when you see deals. Store them in a cool, dry place, and they'll last for months, sometimes years. And hey, if you're feeling heroic, buy extra. Be the person who shows up to movie night with actual chocolate. You'll be worshipped, because let's be real, life without chocolate isn't just sad, it's unlivable. Don't wait until it's gone. Stock up now while you still can. Your soul and your dessert drawer will thank Witash. Canned tomatoes. All right, let's talk about the unsung hero of your pantry, canned tomatoes. They're in your pasta sauce, your chili, your shakshuka, your slow cooker curries. You probably don't think twice about grabbing a can, but what if I told you that by 2025, that simple can might be gone? Yeah, we're staring down a canned tomato shortage, and it's not just hype. According to reports from Reddit's food supply threads and agricultural updates from California, the state that produces over 90% of America's tomatoes, farmers are in serious trouble. Why? 2 words: water crisis. California's Central Valley, the heart of U.S. tomato production, is facing extreme drought conditions, with 2023 and 2024 ranking among the driest years on record. The state has already slashed water allocations to farmers, forcing many to let fields go fallow. Less water equals fewer tomatoes, and fewer tomatoes mean less supply for canning. On top of that, new tariffs on imported food products and rising transportation costs are making it harder and more expensive to bring in backup supplies from abroad. Some tomato processors have already cut production by up to 30%, and major brands like Hunt's and Del Monte are quietly reducing output. The result? Empty shelves, smaller cans, and prices creeping up. Some stores are already charging $2 per can, up from $1.80 just a few years ago, and once those warehouse stocks run low, good luck finding marinara in a pinch. So what do? Stock up now. Grab a few extra cans every time you're at the store. Diced, crushed, whole peeled, whatever you use most. Store them in a cool, dark place and they'll last 1 to 2 years. Just check the expiration date. And let's be real, a world without canned tomatoes is basically a dystopian nightmare. No spaghetti nights, no chili on a cold day, no I'm pretending to cook moment with a jar of sauce. That's not survival mode, that's a food emergency. Canned tomatoes are cheap, shelf-stable, and essential. They belong in every prepper pantry, not because you're hoarding, but because you're smart. So don't wait until the last can is gone. Be the person who still has sauce, while everyone else is eating plain pasta like savages. All right, let's quickly recap the top 10 grocery items you should start stocking up on now to prepare for the 2025 shortages. Eggs, thanks to bird flu and sky-high prices. Cereal. Processed foods are getting hit hard by grain tariffs. Now, coffee, climate change is threatening global bean supplies. Sugar, export bans and droughts are making it scarce. Olive oil, Mediterranean droughts are drying up production. Avocados, tariffs, and weather are turning toast into a luxury. Beef, feed shortages and heat are shrinking herds. Shrimp, 90% imported, and supply chains are cracking. Chocolate, cocoa prices are at record highs and climbing, and canned tomatoes. California's water crisis could leave your pasta sauceless. Now, I'm not saying you need to turn your basement into a bunker full of beans today. Start small. Pick 1 or 2 items from this list each grocery run. Buy an extra can, an extra bag. Just stay ahead of the curve. And hey, I want to hear from you. What are you already stocking up on? What's in your prepper pantry? Drop your best food stockpiling tips in the comments below. Let's build a community that's actually ready for what's coming. If you found this video helpful, smash that like button, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you don't miss our next deep dive into the 2025 supply chain crisis. Because trust me, you'll want to be the first to know. Stay smart, stay prepared, and I'll see you in the next one.